This is the best way to play Baptiste. Baptiste obviously has his high utility in Immortality field, but make sure you're getting use out of your gun damage too. Don't just heal bots, look for different angles to take and rotate to in the mid-fight with the help of your exo boots and amplification matrix to take the fight in your own hands and become a third DPS. Also, don't waste your regen burst and toss your lamp around corners when your team are about to die. Bap's gun, Demoman Sticky Bomb Launcher, makes Bap shoot a 3-round burst dealing 25 damage per round. Alternatively, he can fire healing nades, dealing 50 splash healing or 70 direct healing with a fire rate of 0.9 seconds and an ammo capacity of 13. The reload time is 1.5 seconds. The most important part of your gun is to interweave the healing and damage. Too many Baps either just heal bot completely or just solely deal damage whilst their team is low. The general rhythm is to shoot twice, then heal, but you can also shoot heal if that's more comfortable or if that allows you to land your healing more accurately. Here's Paulo explaining when and how to do the min-maxing.
The one thing that we look at with our Baptiste at a GM level that's worth mentioning is the damage to healing ratio, right? Damage to healing. Min-maxing every single little bit of spam that we can possibly get out. When we see a Baptiste review and I see you heal botting, there's no excuse for that. Like, there's absolutely no excuse for that. Whether it's shooting Rhine Shield, whether it's pressuring a D.Va on an off angle, whether it's putting a little bit of pressure on a Lucio that's wall riding, I don't give a rip. But there has to be constant pressure put out at all points of time. Now, the key thing with BAP is knowing who to shoot and when to shoot. Because when you have a safe opportunity, that's when your opportunity to shoot is, right? When you don't have a safe opportunity or you have to walk into sniper LOS, if there's a Hanzo pressuring you, whatever, then that's where the pressure is not quite as necessary. Like right now, this is a perfect example of when you would not peak. This is when you do not put damage pressure out because your team isn't taking space and there's a risk of you getting one shot here or taking unnecessary damage. However, as you round the corner, that's when our shoot, heal, that's where the rhythm starts to kick in.
However, we can go a step further with your target priority and who you should be damaging. Generally speaking, your target priority comes down to who's the easiest to kill and who's the most dangerous person on the enemy team. Therefore, shooting an aggressive tracer in the backline, or a frontlining Reaper walking forwards, or an enemy support in open space, take priority over autopiloting and shooting the enemy tank.
Again, we talked about it, like what's the easiest damage output? Well, it's just shoot Reinhardt shield. But right now, what would be the most important thing to shoot? Even if it's not quite as easy. Do you see?
Reaper.
Right, exactly, the Reaper. Yeah. This guy, I mean, he looks kind of funny with a hat, but yeah, this guy, right? So this guy needs healing. That's number one priority. She's too low. But then if you're going to weave your heal then damage, the heal then damage needs to be on the Reaper and not on the Reinhardt.
Yes.
You keep shooting Reinhardt, and then you're still shooting Reinhardt.
Oh my god. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So this is where we talk. This is what we call the hypnosis, where you're like so locked in and breaking this Rhine shield that you're missing the Mercy and Bap who are actually really killable right now.
Next, you can fire your heal nades into the air before a team fight occurs to increase your healing output by double, or to deal damage whilst your nades fall from the sky. You'll do this stuff on defense at the beginning of a round. Think Blizzard World first point defense. Bap's first ability, secretly the most annoying ability to play against, makes Bap activate a burst of healing in a 10 meter radius, dealing either 100 or 50 burst healing, depending on whether you're below or above 50% HP. It also deals 50 healing over 5 seconds no matter what. The cooldown is a lengthy 15 seconds. The biggest mistake players make with their regen burst is that they don't actually hit their teammates. Guys, 10 meters is a short ass radius. It doesn't have the range of Briggs and Spire, and considering it's on a lengthy cooldown, you just can't be wasting the cooldown because you are 5 meters out of range. With that being said, once you activate Regen Burst and allies receive it within the radius, they can go as far out of range as they want and still receive the healing. But if they're out of range or out of line of sight initially, then they move into range or line of sight, they still won't receive the healing. In terms of usage, Regen Burst is pretty easy to use, but it's also pretty easy to misuse. Regen Burst should be used when either you or a nearby teammate are under pressure and they need the extra burst healing. Conversely, Regen Burst shouldn't be randomly used for general additional healing, since if you do this, when your tank or teammate actually need the extra burst of healing under pressure, your Regen Burst will be busy on cooldown. Obviously, again, make sure your team are actually within the 10 meter range to catch your Regen Burst. And lastly, try not to stack your Regen Burst on top of your lamp since it's kind of inefficient. Just use your lamp first, then Regen Burst after, or vice versa. Bap's second ability, Sumito's Arch Nemesis, makes Bap throw out a disc device that emits an immortality field for 5 seconds, where allies cannot drop below 10% of their HP. The device itself has 150 HP, and has a lengthy cooldown of 25 seconds. The most basic thing with your lamp is just to toss it around corners, so it lasts. The reason why corner lamps are much more effective is that it forces the enemy team to turn the corner out into open space just to get rid of the lamp. But generally speaking, how and when do you lamp? Well, I see two main factors: lamping based off HP and lamping based off aggression, both of which are intertwined. Obviously, if a teammate is on critical HP, then they're likely taking a lot of aggression, but I think aggression should be the main factor as to whether you lamp or not, and ignoring this is likely why you lamp too late or just when a teammate dies. If a teammate is full HP, but a Nano Blader Genji has just dashed into them, you should probably be lamping immediately. If your Reinhardt is full HP, but is getting walked over by a nano boosted Ramatra with speed boost, he's gonna need that lamp because of the aggression that he's gonna be taking. So if you misuse your lamp, it's likely because you used it when there was no aggression at all, or you were just too slow to recognize that aggression. Bap's passive, the Jumpy Boys, makes Bap charge his exo boots when he crouches to provide enough force for him to jump in the air up to 9 meters. There's no super big brain use to this other than trying to attain high ground, which I'll briefly touch on in the positioning section, or to avoid ultimates like Shatter. Just make sure you don't become one of those pogo jumping Baps who get their head dinked on by a Widowmaker. Bap's ultimates, the Goalkeeper, makes Bap create a matrix that amplifies healing and damage by 100%, lasting 10 seconds. The orientation can be changed by pressing the ultimate button again. There's two main matrices I see. The first is to zone and take space, and the second is for selfish, independent damage. Let's talk about the first matrix. Here, you generally matrix on corners out into open space, and then your team pushes forward and or onto high grounds.
But if Oni got high noons, that forces enemy team to back up. That forces these guys to back up. It forces these guys to sort of back up in essence, right? So there's less pressure on Dans, which then means, guess what? Hey, there's less pressure on Dans? Okay, cool. As Diva, Lucio, Bap, even May to some extent, you don't need to be stacked on the Ryan right now. You can do something else. And what's something you can do? You know that the enemy team is abusing these high grounds, right? Like this high ground over here, this high ground over here. You can send a little kill squad to go push that. You'll see the Diva, you'll see the Lucio, and the Bap all together as a little high ground, little kill squad. They're ready to fight, right? And they'll push that high ground and they'll catch Valentine there who's trying to go for an off angle. You can use ultimates like McCree ult or even Square to force pressure off your Reinhardt and then have your little kill squad go pressure people on the sides.
Here's also another example on Blizzard World 2nd, where you matrix the high ground to deter the enemy team from staying there. And then there's the second type of matrices, which are more selfish and focus on you dishing out your own damage from a different angle.
And the individual window, which is something that I really, really want you to practice more and just try it. Like this is when I was working with Laris before he went to Atlanta, right? It's something we talked about a lot. Like he was when I told him I want you to just a window whenever you see an option. Like he first was like, huh? And then he started trying it and he literally would just pop off. He would literally window and get a pick every single time. And then you can use window mid fight as literally a pop off thing. Hell, you could take more aggressive corners. You can rotate over here, window and just kill people. This maybe when they're kiting away or something.
In Overwatch 2, where the map is often more open and you just can't heal bot as much, individual or selfish windows are super important to find in the mid fight, which leads me nicely onto the positioning section of the guides. For those who've watched my guides, you'll know that for most heroes, there's 4 general rules of positioning: cover, lines of sight, distance from angles, and rotations. But Bap is special in that, unlike heroes like Ana or Zen, Bap has vertical mobility, which is important for rotations. I'll use King's Oath third point to illustrate these 4 rules. Firstly, here you have cover. Cover is super important because it allows you to stop taking damage at any second, and it prevents you from wasting cooldowns out in the open.
This is a good position here, right? Or this is a good position here. You really need to be considering cover, right? There's a chance of sleep dart, there's a chance of nade, there's a chance of the knife, there's a chance of Hanzo damage. There's all sorts of things that could happen from this position. And this actually doesn't make it easier for you to do damage. By moving like this and positioning this far from cover, it makes it harder. Even here, why would you do that here and not from here, right? Or do it from here, right? Same exact angle, right?
Secondly, you have line of sight, meaning you can see the entire battlefield. As a general rule, the further back you are, the more you can see and the wider your FOV is. If you're bunched up right next to your tank, you'd be able to see fuck all around you, like whether there's a duel going on right by the mega, or whether your DPS needs healing from high ground, etc. This leads me into the third rule of distance from angles. This just means you have enough distance to react to enemy flankers, like here on King Zo, you have enough distance if a Trace is decided to flank by Mega. And lastly, rotations. This just means being able to move to more aggressive positions, like on high ground, which ties back into your exo boots. Note how this position also gives you cover, line of sight, and a great angle for a selfish or independent matrix to carry the fight, as talked about in the last section. Then, you can look to rotate to the other piece of high ground when the enemy team are coming back from spawn. Just make sure you do these rotations in the mid-fight, when your tanks are drawing attention, so you don't get caught out moving in open space. Now onto Bap's backline synergies. Bap Kiriko. Of course, there's a classic double Immortality, but what's more interesting, in my opinion, is that you really have all your bases covered with this duo. Kiriko can cleanse antis, you both have enough sustain, mobility, and damage, and just like with Ana Kiriko, you shouldn't be complaining if you get this duo on your team, though some swaps to Lucio or Mercy may fit some compositions better. Bap Brig. This is built for peel and AoE healing. Whilst this combo isn't as strong as it once used to be, and there are better alternatives who offer different utility, if you want damage and sustain, this is likely your go-to. Bap Zen. This is the most alike to a glass cannon, with a high amount of range and poke damage, hence why you should be playing this on maps like Havana, Soko Royale and Junkertown, all of which have long, narrow sightlines. If you plan on playing this combo on other maps or against Dive for whatever reason, make sure both of you rotate as one, that you keep as much distance as possible, and that you're surrounded by cover. Bap Lucio. This duo is heavily optimised for war comps, as the London Spitfires showed in the last season of Pro League. Try not to run any DPS that might want to play completely separately from your core, since there isn't much ranged healing here. Keep good LOS on your team, and interweave that healing and damage when your Reinhardt is feeling the heats. Bap Mercy. This is like when you're playing Mercy Zen, but you're getting rolled on Zen, so you decide to go to Kiriko, Bap, or Brig. Your Mercy will take care of your DPS, giving you time to deal your own DPS. Nothing too special about this duo here. Bap Moira. This support duo has the most raw, area of effect healing in the entire game, but that's not what you're playing this for. Moira's in top 500, funnily enough, actually lean into the DPS playstyle, and you can too, since you also have enough sustain. Both Moira and Baptiste can dish out their fair share of damage by taking aggressive positions, thanks to their sustain. Bap Honor. Just run this if you're struggling against Pharmacy, and don't run this against Dive. Well, that's it for the video. If this video helped to raise your IQ, be sure to share it with your friends to also raise theirs. Until next time.